I'm recording a new warning for case 4, rather than reuse the old one, because at this point you've heard it about 4 times and it was a bit rambling. Case 4 should have a trigger warning for suicide, including a picture of a suicide scene. The method of death was hanging, if that's important for your triggers. And the picture is shown quite a lot in this case. There's also some trigger warnings for treatment of people who have mental illness or need therapy. Specifically, there's a character who is deemed codependent in a way that personally I find kind of stigmatizing and potentially triggering to people. So I wanted to warn for both of those things. If you want to continue watching the video, just please be aware of those 2 content issues. Thank you so much, and now into the video.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Let's Play of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. My name is Anna Mardol. First of all, before you do anything else, check the description of this video, if you don't mind, because I have linked to art that a Twitter user made for me. It is a delightful image of Maya with Acro's 3 birds. It's wonderful. It's perfect. It's the best thing I've ever seen. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, Lisa. It completely made my day. It especially made my day because I have been actually missing Maya so much in this episode. I am well paid back for all the times I was frustrated by Maya, because I mean, and I was in many times frustrated by Maya. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't, but that doesn't mean that I wanted her missing and starving to death. That makes me super, super sad. So being able to see a happy Maya again, and with birds with her, just delighted me. So thank you so much. Excuse me. So before we go in today, I want to do that thing where I talk for forever about how I would have changed this case or what I would have liked to see different. And then suddenly I go, oh God, I've had you on this same screen for 15 minutes. I'm sorry. I know I do that a lot, and I apologize each time, and here I'm about to do it again. I know. I just, forgive me. Having said that, I'm pretty sure today's episode is the last episode, both of this case and of this game. And also, I know too, and I'll say it now, I was warned by a friend that there are actually 2 possible endings to this game, and I believe this video is where the branching path happens. And if it happens where I think it happens, and if it goes the way I think it does, and I was given some clues, then what I'll try to do is I'll try to save the game, get us the bad ending first, and then give us the good ending, because I don't like to end on a bad ending. Ending on a bad ending is sad, but ending on a good ending is happy. So having said that, the story thus far. We were at a hotel for an award ceremony, and during a break, a celebrity was murdered, and another celebrity was arrested for the murder. Maya, our aide and best friend, was kidnapped, and in order to get her back, we were told to take the celebrity who was arrested, his case, and get him an acquittal. We have since discovered that after initially believing he was innocent, we have since discovered he was guilty. And so we've been trying to drag out the trial as long as possible in order to either give the police enough time to find Maya on their own, or get the acquittal against our better instincts, just in order to get Maya back safely. In the last episode, Detective Gumshoe was racing towards us with evidence that he felt would help the case.
which I don't really fully understand because we don't need the case to be helped. We need Maya to be found, but okay, fine. It's the conceit of the game. Go with it. Detective Gumshoe was racing towards us, and he ran some red lights, which is very dangerous, and he was not in a squad car, so he didn't even have a siren, and he got in a car accident, it seems, and we're racing towards him, and hopefully he will be okay as well. This is actually a very dangerous case. Francisco was shot, Gumshoe was in a car accident, and Maya is being starved to death, which is very upsetting. We know our client is guilty because there was a dramatic reveal where suddenly he had evil scars, which were never explained. So they're just scars for the sake of scars being evil. And let me say, as someone with scars, that really pisses me off when they do that. The scars were hot and sexy, but I know they were meant to be evil, and so fuck you, game, for that. But okay, regardless. And he produced a brandy snifter to swirl around evilly, which I won't defend because I don't drink brandy, so I don't care about that. So we know we know our client, Matt On Guard, is evil because he told us he was evil. I am now going to make the case that was a mistake. I've been making that case for a while, but I'm going to make it again. And here's why. This case would be more tense and better if we didn't know whether Matt was guilty or not. They're trying to do a tension with Phoenix of Phoenix having an ethical dilemma over whether it's right to defend a murderer in order to save a life. And I just can't get into that dilemma because I'm over here with the Gandalf principle, where it's like some people well, basically, I'm not going to try to quote the quote because it's really, really late at night, and I will get it wrong. But the Gandalf principle of people who die, you can't bring back. People who so don't be so eager to let people die or to rush people off to death. Get the guy off for murder and save Maya. That's an easy moral dilemma for me. Now, the game kind of makes it a little bit harder in that it's not just a matter of getting the guy off, because in this dystopian world that we're working in, you can't get someone off. All you can do is throw someone else under the murder bus. So we can't get Matt On Guard off without throwing someone else under the bus. And we can't apparently say that the butler assassin guy that is part of Edgeworth's theory of the case, we can't say, yeah, that guy was the killer and he was working on his own, let's just acquit Matt On Guard and go find that guy. No, instead we have to throw his manager, Adrian Andrews, under the bus. So it's not just, are we letting a guilty man free in order to save a life? It's, are we putting someone else in jail in order to save a life? Now, again, I don't really get behind that moral dilemma, because it's like, save her and we can overturn the court case. You can't undo Maya's death, but you can undo an incorrect verdict. But, okay, apparently we're just supposed to accept that you can't. My point is, the moral dilemma we have doesn't work for me, because to me it's no moral dilemma at all. You save Maya. You fix everything else later. You save Maya. You fix everything else later. Moral dilemma doesn't work. But a mystery of whether it's Matt or Adrian works really well. Okay. So I want you to consider that we don't know Matt is guilty. The case for Matt is that he knew his rival was going to reveal secrets about him which would ruin his career. So rather than kill his rival in any number of ways that could look like an accident, at any number of times in the past week, month, year that this is being planned, because Juan Creta, the victim, had been planning this for a while. Instead of pushing his car off a cliff or having him die from a drug overdose in his hot tub at home or any number of things, Matt hired an assassin, supposedly. And he said, okay, assassin dude, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, right before Juan is about to expose me, so this
terribly clear to anyone looking into this crime that it was probably related in some way to me, right before he's about to expose me, I want you to come by my room for the cash payoff, which I'm not going to give you in advance. I want you there to get it in person so that witnesses can see us together if anyone happens to be walking by my room. Then I want you to murder Juan Carita in a way that clearly is murder and doesn't look like an accidental overdose or a suicide or anything like that. He'll have just lost a major award at this point. You could make it look like a suicide, but no, make it look as much like a murder as possible. Then come by my room directly to hand to me something that you've taken from his room, that you've clearly taken from his room, that's a rare personal possession that could easily be linked to him. And once again, we could be overseen doing this interaction from the hallway where anyone walking by could see it, could take a picture. I'm constantly surrounded by paparazzi my entire life, but no, it's fine. Nobody will be there taking a picture. It's fine. And oh, by the way, what I'll be doing during all this in order to arrange an alibi that will have absolutely no holes in it so I can't possibly be the murderer, I will be taking a nap alone in my room right next to the victim's room. Then, if you don't mind, assassin, go live in my house so that if anybody goes by my house while they know I'm in prison, a fan, a stalker, a paparazzi climbing into my house to get, to rifle through my underwear drawer, the mailman, the maid, anything, the milkman. If anyone sees you, that's one more link between you and me, because you're living in my house. And if you happen to take any hostages, put them in my house too. So that, again, if you ever let them go, or if they ever escape, they can very easily tell the police that they were being held in my house. That is what we're supposed to believe happened. This is what Edgeworth is asking the judge to believe. And the whole thing, the whole motive behind this was that Matt Engard's career was going to be ruined by Juan Carita getting up and saying, oh, hey, everybody, remember the woman that I was engaged to be married, then I cruelly dumped, and she killed herself? Yeah, actually, all of that was Matt's fault, because he previously had a sexual relationship with her, and he didn't marry her, so it was his fault. Scandal, ruination. That was going to sink Matt's career and make him unemployable. I can't buy any of that. That is the most ridiculous. I to the point where I think, was there a version of this case where Matt really was innocent and someone else really was the killer, but then they got so affectionate, they fell in love with Adrian, which, how can you not? I love her too. They fell in love with Adrian and thought, okay, we can't do this, and they rewrote it so that she was innocent. I mean, that is the most flimsy case I have ever seen. It makes no sense. But here's the case for Adrian. Adrian Andrews was in love with or codependent upon, doesn't really matter. This is, and again, I a lot of heed the trigger warnings for the mental illness stigma here, but Adrian Andrews was very attached to her mentor, Celeste Impacts. Two men dated Celeste Impacts, and at least one of them treated her very badly. Probably both of them treated her very badly. And Celeste died by suicide. Adrian became obsessed with Celeste's death. She wanted to find Celeste's note. She needed closure. She, let's say, needed the men who caused her death to pay and to not continue to flourish and thrive and have wildly successful careers and love lives. So she devoted her life to becoming the manager for one of the men and the new romantic love interest of the other man. And she did very well. She actually she was attracted to Juan because she had no interest in Matt, and Juan wanted someone who wasn't interested in Matt. And here was this beautiful woman that Matt was interested in but showed no interest back in him. That's exactly up Juan's alley. And she was a good manager to Matt. So she managed to get in with both of them. And she found out the location of Celeste's suicide note, and she also found out that Juan intended to use the note to harm Matt. This infuriated her, naturally, because here Juan was using Celeste all over again, didn't care about her memory, didn't care about what this would do to her family, to her loved ones, to her memory. He was just gonna use her all over again to hurt Matt, the way Matt used her to hurt Juan. So she came up with a plan. She hired an assassin to kill Juan and frame Matt. And so if you look at all the evidence against Matt, like evidence 1, Matt tipped a bellboy. Well, Matt is presented in the game as this completely, just a doof of a dude who just does whatever he's told, goes along with whatever his handlers tell him. So Adrian could have very easily just handed him a wad of bills and said, Matt, this is a really classy place, and it's important that we create an image of, you being well-to-do and you being generous. So, if next time the bellboy comes to the room, make sure you tip him this. Oh, okay, dude. Yeah, all right. I don't mind. So that's evidence number 1. Easily explained. Adrian just told him to tip the bellboy that much. When the bellboy came back with the puzzle bear that held the suicide note and handed it to someone, he handed it to someone dressed in a nickel samurai costume. Well, that's already taken care of. We have seen Adrian in a nickel samurai costume, so she was the one taking the bear. The bear went to Matt Onguard's house, and in fact, Maya, the kidnap victim, went to Matt Onguard's house because Adrian knew Matt was in prison and wouldn't be able to go to his house. She had a spare key of his, either straight up because she was his manager and he gave her one, or she, had one duplicated from his key ring, would have been easy to do. So that if Maya were to escape or to ever get free, she would be able to point out Matt as the person whose house she was being held in. And then you'll notice that when the killer moved Maya out of the house, he left behind that bear that was such important evidence. So important. But he left it behind, just accidentally, didn't remember to take it. Not only left it behind, but left it in front of the little pet door there, so you'd very definitely see it and go, why is this here? And pick it up and take it with you as evidence. So realistically, all of this fits Adrian doing the deed a lot better. Now, the only thing that's kind of weird is if Adrian's hired the assassin to kill Juan in order to frame Matt, why didn't the assassin do the framing straight up instead of Adrian going in there and deciding to take matters in her own hands and add a few flourishing bits like a knife from Matt's dinner and a button hidden in Matt's pants? But I think even that can be easily explained by her kind of panicking at that point and thinking, oh no, it's not obvious enough that it's Matt. It could be somebody else. It could be, anybody else. So I'm just going to add a few extra touches. The assassin didn't do a good enough job framing him. I'm going to add a few touches. It's weak, but I can see it. I can see it in the heat of the moment, thinking, no. I thought this would work, but it needs a little bit more. It needs a little bit more. Or, you know, potentially you could say that for whatever reason, maybe Matt changed his eating schedule, or, you know, but for whatever reason, the bellboy slash assassin wasn't able to get to Matt's knife prior to the crime, so Adrian had to come along behind and add the knife and the walking out in costume and putting the button. You know, I think you could justify that. It's a twist in the story, but I think you could justify it. All of that, a complicated, incredibly complicated revenge plot, to me, fits a lot better than an actor hiring an assassin to kill another actor in order to prevent this guy coming out literally saying, hey, remember that woman who died after I dumped her? It was technically totally my rival's fault. My well-known rival's fault for sleeping with her years before that. That's gonna ruin Juan. That's not gonna touch Matt. It does not work. And then all the little details of Matt meeting with the assassin, of Matt having the assassin live in his house, of Matt having the assassin take his hostage to his house. None of that works either, but it works so much better if it's a complicated, overly complicated revenge plot by someone who is obsessed with taking Matt down in the most vindictive way possible. So I'm really sad that the game decided to go ahead and tell us that Matt is guilty, because I think it would have been a lot more interesting if we didn't know. I'm okay with him being guilty. Although, if he is guilty, I wish it was for a better reason than this, because I'm looking at this like, dude, what? But I wish that they had let us not know, because if he hadn't already said, oh yeah, I totally did it, I would not believe he had. I would not believe he had. I just don't buy his motive. I don't buy his actions. I don't buy any of it. But having said that, here we are, and we're going into this, and I didn't think to turn on my timer until just now, so who knows? That may have been 30 minutes. I don't even know. I'm sorry. Let's go. Let's go, Phoenix. Let's go. It is 2:35 p.m. And it is time to go get... I thought we were racing to get Gumshoe. I thought we were racing to get Franziska. The heck? This doesn't make any sense. We were racing to get... Did we outsource it to Franziska? Franziska, go get Edgeworth and anything, or not Edgeworth, Gumshoe, and anything you find in the ruins of his wrecked car, bring in. Is that what we did? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Let's just go.
Court will now reconvene. I assume both sides are ready.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Oh, it's nice to see us both starting out stressed for once.
I can understand the defense acting like this. But why do you also seem distraught, Edgeworth?
Well, he actually cares about Gumshoe, so...
It's nothing, Your Honor.
Well, and he cares about Maya, too. He cares about Gumshoe and Maya.
What's wrong with Edgeworth?
It looks like something unexpected just happened to him. Y'all know we don't know if Gumshoe is alive, right? We don't know if Maya is alive. Why is this a mystery that he has feelings about people?
Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you could please tell the court the results of the handwriting analysis on Miss Impax's suicide note. Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, we have discovered that this suicide note is a forgery.
How is it not Adrian who's guilty? And really, that's what he was emotional about? Not the fact that he doesn't know if Gumshoe or Maya is, either of them, if they're alive or dead? Okay.
What? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This note was not written by Ms. Impax herself. It is a fake. Order! Order! Mr. Edgeworth, would you care to explain what is going on? If this was not written by Miss Impax, then who wrote it? We would need more time to do a more detailed analysis. However, it appears that the handwriting matches that of the victim, Mr. Juan Carita.
Okay. My God. Adrian was so convinced there was a note. Edgeworth was so convinced there was a note. There was no note, or if there was, it was destroyed and Juan left this one instead? Mr. Carita? Well, well. It looks like Ms. Impax never left a suicide note at all. She never wrote anything about Uncle.
However, Your Honor, even though this suicide note is indeed a fake, Mr. Ongard could not have known that, and so the facts remain unchanged. Acting under the assumption that it was real, he plotted to possess it. That does sound very plausible.
This theory that Ongard had no idea that the suicide note was fake. Something seems a little wrong with it. The defense believes that the theory the prosecution has stated contradicts testimony. If everything the prosecution has proven up to this point is true, then it's impossible for Mr. Ongard to not have known it was a fake. Well, the whole reason he said Ongard knew about it was because Ongard had Carita under video surveillance. So if he was under video surveillance, then he would have seen him write the note.
What is this little item called again?
A video camera, Your Honor. A very small one, but...
Oh, that's right, a camera. Oh, you kids and your fancy toys nowadays.
Mr. Edgeworth, earlier you claimed Mr. Ongard knew of the existence of this note because he was spying on the victim. Isn't that right? If that were true, then this means Mr. Ongard would have known the victim forged the note.
Yeah, no, I believe me. So then, the defendant knew this suicide note was fake. And if that's true, then the situation has suddenly changed in a very dramatic way.
Exactly, Your Honor. The prosecution's theory as to what Mr. Ongard's motive for murder was, it has suddenly disappeared into thin air.
But Your Honor, it's not as if Mr. Ongard monitored Mr. Carita 24 hours a day. Perhaps the victim wrote the note in a place Mr. Ongard didn't know of.
Well, right back at you, Mr. Edgeworth. Why don't you show us some proof that the victim made the forgery at an unknown place?
I love his reaction shots. It really does look like we've just punched him in the stomach. Order, Mr. Edgeworth. It looks like this time it is you who has dug his own grave. As I figured. Huh? As you figured? As I figured, it came down to this after all. Mr. Edgeworth, you are not making any sense? When I heard the results of the handwriting analysis, I thought this might happen. The question is, what next?
What next?
If the prosecution can't prove Mr. Ongard's motive through the evidence, then we must prove it from another angle. Well, I agree with you there, Your Honor. The prosecution would like to call a witness to the stand at this time. Oh, well that's fine. However, this witness is a little unusual.
Edgeworth stuttering? This is not like him at all.
Unusual? Well, what sort of witness is this person, Mr. Edgeworth? This witness is one who is perfectly fit to answer once and for all the question of who was it that hired Shelley to kill her to commit murder?
That's impossible. Who in... No such person exists who can answer that question with certainty.
Yes, Mr. Edgeworth, who is this witness? Yes, go on, who is it? The man himself. Mr. Shelley de Killer. Oh, Mr. de Killer. Wait! Shelley de Killer? You mean the killer? The assassin? Yes, Your Honor. He's coming here to the witness stand? Well, in a manner of speaking, yes. I recognize that this is a very unusual circumstance, so I ask for your permission. Well, Mr. Wright? Yes? Is this alright with you? Do I have a choice? I can't really do much else to drag this trial out. The defense has no objections, Your Honor? I wonder if it really is alright to do this. Very well then. The prosecution calls its witness to the stand.
Edgeworth, is there no other way left to us? How are you going to summon him? How? No, I don't accept this! Okay, and second of all, you can't... God. What the fudge? I don't think you can call a co-conspirator... Well, there's rules about how you can do this, and I don't think this is following those rules.
Now then, witness, your name and your occupation, please.
Okay then. Very good, sir. My name is Shelley the Killer, and I am a professional assassin.
I say, what is going on here? Your Honor.
How can you remain so calm? What is the meaning of this two-way radio?
Actually, Your Honor, it was delivered to me just now, and came with a condition. As long as we do not trace its source, Mr. the Killer will testify to this court.
And we agreed? Lie! Do it anyway! So this must be what that urgent phone call he got earlier was about.
Oh no, this will not do. I cannot allow this in my court. First of all, we can't even be sure this really is Mr. the Killer himself. Witness, please present some sort of proof that you are in fact Shelley the Killer.
I understand. Please wait a second. I'm so hungry. Maya! Maya!
A voice. Mr. Wright, can you confirm anything from this?
The defense has no objections to this person. We are satisfied that this man is indeed Shelley the Killer.
It looks like we have run into yet another unexpected turn of events. Well, it doesn't seem like we have too many choices under these circumstances, so... Now then, witness. There is one thing I would like to confirm before we speak of anything else.
And what would that be?
At the request of a client, you killed Mr. Juan Carita. Is this correct?
It is as you say. I did indeed kill Mr. Carita.
Now that we have answered that, let's move on to the name of your client.
Very well.
This is all just a bad dream. Yes, that's it, a bad dream.
Shelley the Killer. What is he going to say? There is something I must first state. To an assassin, nothing is more important than the trust between a client and himself. And that is the reason I am here today on this witness stand. It is my wish that you grasp this concept before I give you the name of my client.
Mr. the Killer seems to be a very clever man. I'd almost say he seems to be mocking us. While he may appear to be our enemy, Your Honor, Mr. the Killer is only stating the truth. He is no hypocrite. He has always stood by this one belief. You mean about this trust between his clients and himself thing? It seems to be a level of trust beyond what people like me can comprehend. Well, Mr. Wright, are you ready to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. There's no way to know what's coming next, so stay cool and collected, Phoenix. Why are we cross-examining him? Surely the prosecution should be? Go with it, stop questioning. But it doesn't make sense. We can hear anything you have to say later. Can you please just tell us your clients? I don't think you understand your place, Mr. Attorney. I said this is something I must first state. Do you know what the word first means?
sorry. Go on.
Well, it appears this is one witness you can't badger, Mr. Wright.
It's only because you don't know about my situation. The trust between you and your client. I provide my services in a fast and efficient manner. In exchange, I trust that my clients are discreet about me and my identity. If too many people knew my face, it would be quite troublesome, which is why you usually don't meet an assassin face-to-face for the money handoff. You leave it in like a place.
And that is why you're testifying in this manner?
This is the first time one of my clients has ever been accused of murder. I must preserve the killer name so my clients can trust me. Couldn't someone stab you in the back and break your trust? It has never happened before, but if it ever did, yes, that person wouldn't be my client for very long. They would certainly...
That's enough. Please, no more.
Very well. It was only a hypothetical anyway. And that is the reason I'm here today in this witness stand. It seems a little strange to me. I mean, you're about to tell us the name of your client. I would think this would be very bad for them. It doesn't matter to me. This client has already broken the rules and acted outside of their prescribed role.
Their role?
This person tried to implicate another of the crime in order to save themselves.
Oh God. This is where it would be helpful if we didn't know if it was Matt or Adrian, because he's going to accuse Adrian. And I would prefer to not know.
This is a trespass that cannot be forgiven.
Who gave you the right to be so high and mighty?
To the gentleman who spoke just now. Excuse me, but would you care to die?
No, I didn't say anything. The judge had better watch himself.
We understand, so please tell us the name of your client. I'm afraid I cannot do that. I still have a few things to say before I do. Even humanical. It's not good for your health to be so aggravated. You won't live very long if you let everything bother you.
That coming from an assassin makes it less than comforting. I don't really care about the extra fluff. Just tell us the name already.
Patience. Try to calm down a little. It's important to understand his mindset. He seems very steadfast and closed, so you're going to have to work to get him to talk. I'm not his therapist, you know. It's cycling. Do we have to... present things? Press again? Is it the same? The trust between you and your client. I provide my services in a fast and efficient manner.
Oh, this is different. I'm sorry, but I was wondering about something you just said. You said your client had already broken the rules.
A person who frames another is the worst kind of human.
And that's why you feel you can betray this person?
I have no trust relation with a client who can't understand their assigned role.
Just my luck. An assassin with a conscience. Who would have figured?
Now then, everyone, do you think you can understand my logic?
The case just keeps getting better and better.
If you can't, I'm afraid we can't proceed. Everyone understands your point, I think, really. In that case, I believe I am prepared to disclose the information you seek.
You have made it crystal clear that you value trust over all else. I believe we are ready.
Excellent. And that is the reason I am here today on this witness stand. Now then, I do believe it's about time I revealed the name of my client. Don't you agree?
Okay, that was a new statement. He's gonna say Adrian. He's gonna say Adrian, and honestly, I find it plausible. I mean, I don't think it's her, but if I didn't know about Matt... What is it? Now I can't bring myself to ask the client's name. Well, if you can't ask it, Mr. Wright, then I will. Witness. What is the name of your client who requested the murder of Mr. Juan Carita?
that person's name is. Adrian Andrews. No, but it makes perfect sense. So it's not even that she panicked and felt like he didn't frame On Guard good enough. It's that she probably opened with negotiations and said, I need you to frame this guy. And he said, no, I kill people. I don't frame people. That's dishonorable. And she was like, oh, sure, no, it's fine. Just kill him then. And then she set up did an after scene modifications to make it look like Matt did it. So he kidnapped Maya to have you acquit Matt because he doesn't like the fact that his handiwork is being used to frame somebody else. And now here at the end, since you weren't able to quit him, he's actually going to throw Adrian under the bus. But he couldn't do that before because that was like his last rule he didn't really want to break unless he had to. And it would make perfect sense. It would fit so well if it weren't for the fact that Matt has already confessed to us. I love it. It's perfect. It's so perfect. I hate that we know it's not true.
Witness! That's not who you told me it was earlier.
Pray tell, what are you talking about, Mr. Prosecutor? I should think I know my own client, and it is Adrian Andrews.
What? This can't be. On the phone earlier.
What's going on here? My guess is that Mr. DeKiller just stabbed Mr. Edgeworth in the back.
Stabbed Edgeworth in the back?
I'm sure in order to get an audience with this court, Mr. DeKiller told him a different name. Matt On Guard, perhaps.
I knew it. This is outrageous. I was deceived. By an assassin! It's like you can't trust them!
Edgeworth, my baby. Miles. Come here, I'll give you a hug. It's okay.
I was deceived. This witness is telling a very serious lie. But you were the one who summoned this witness. Silly DeKiller.
My testimony is the truth. The defendant at the moment is Matt On Guard, am I correct? All I wish to do is help procure his acquittal.
Oh.
Wow. All of a sudden, it feels like we can actually win this.
Yeah. The prosecution has failed to provide a motive, and has instead provided the suicide note, which is a forgery created by the victim. Furthermore, there is a possibility the defendant himself knew it was a fake. But most definitive of all, we have heard from the assassin himself the name of his client. Mr. DeKiller's client who requested the murder was not the defendant at all. No. With all this evidence, it is obvious to me that this means that Mr. Matt On Guard is innocent.
I seem to have caused you all a bit of confusion. Please continue your discussion and call me when you have reached a verdict.
Bailiff, please bring Miss Adrian Andrews in immediately.
What now? With the way this is going, On Guard will be found innocent. This may be our last chance to save Maya.
Yeah, but Edgeworth is right. The killer is lying. And On Guard, my client, I know he's guilty. I live with myself if I win this. Who would have believed that the prosecution's own witness would absolve the defendant? Your Honor, the prosecution requests permission to further question the witness.
Is this the bit where the branching narrative happens? I'm not really sure. I thought it was later than this, what I was told. But I'm saving just in case.
Shelley DeKiller is certainly lying under oath.
It wasn't me! Listen, everyone, please! That testimony just now, it was all one big lie!
You weren't even here until the bailiff brought you. How did you know it? How did you hear it?
In another Phoenix Wright case, I would assume that was a clue, but now it's...
Miss Andrews,
the suicide note may have been a fake, but that man, Matt, he's the reason Celeste died, and Juan's death
It was because he got pulled into Matt's twisted world. That testimony just now. You have to believe me. It was a horrible, horrible lie.
But Mr. DeKiller himself has testified. He has named you as his client.
No, that's not true.
Also, there is quite a bit of evidence that points to you. The knife and button, donning the nickel samurai costume.
But that's...
You even have a motive. We know that Miss Celeste Impax was a large part of your life. You wanted to follow her, and you wanted revenge against the two who hurt her. I would say you have plenty of reasons to want them both dead.
No. Mr. Wright. You know the truth. Tell them. Okay, I'm saving again. I've never loaded a game in the middle of a case. I don't know what will happen. Tell them the real story. Who the real killer is. Tell them. Please help me.
Yes, I know the truth. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. I believe we have reached the end of this trial. I ask the defense for any final words or opinions.
I have to decide. Do I take the not guilty verdict and save Maya? Or do I throw this chance away and wait for Gumshoe's new evidence? What am I supposed to do? Okay, so I'm gonna do the bad ending first.
Your Honor, the defense requests that... It's no use. I can't. It feels like I've lost my voice.
I can't do it, Mia. I can't accept a not guilty.
You are a lawyer.
I know, but Matt Montgard is a killer, a murderer. I can't let him get away with this. I can't let someone else take the fall. If I let Miss Andrews be convicted, I am no better than Ongard. And even though I don't want to admit it, I have to face the fact that it is because of Edgeworth I now know the real truth. He could have gotten Ongard convicted so many times over, but he never took a single one of those chances. Yes, he did! Have you been playing this? No, it's fine. If I take this verdict right now, I'd be betraying his trust. His trust. I never thought about it until now. I trust him? Yes, you do.
Mr. Wright, your opinion, please.
That's not what I told him to do. Okay, so what happens if... What happens with this one? Phoenix, I can't do it, Mia. I can't accept a not guilty.
You are a lawyer.
I know, but Matt Ongard is a killer, a murderer. I think this is the same dialogue. I can't let him get away with this. I can't let someone else take the fall. If I let Miss Andrews be convicted, I am no better than Ongard. And even though I don't want to admit it, I have to face the fact that it is because of... Yeah, it's the exact same. His trust. I never thought about it until now. I trust him. Yes, you do. So you get the same dialogue no matter what? I was told there was two endings. Well, maybe that wasn't it.
Mr. Wright, your opinion, please.
The defense requests that we be allowed to further question Mr. DeKiller.
Am I hearing you correctly, Mr. Wright? Right. But that witness has cleared your client through his testimony. Your job here is done.
I'm not done yet. To see through witnesses' lies and find the truth. That is my job, Your Honor. He is such a good boy. That is my job, Your Honor. And take that, everyone in the galley who was grumbling at me in the last episode. That is my job, Your Honor. There's still more evidence to look at. And I'm sure that once those pieces arrive here in this very courtroom, a miracle will occur.
Very well. The trial will continue. Mr. Edgeworth, please. Re-establish connection with Mr. DeKiller. Right away, Your Honor.
You owe me kisses later, Miles. I mean, not me, Phoenix, but I'm Phoenix, so... I mean, I'm not Phoenix all the time, but right now I'm Phoenix. Has a verdict been reached?
Before that, we would like to talk with you a little more.
About? All you needed from me was the name of my client. What else could you need me for?
Well, actually, we would like to hear everything you know about this case. That is how things are usually done.
What is he talking about?
Usually done?
Normally, we just start off with a guilty verdict and go from there.
What shall we have him testify about now? Mr. the Killer, if you don't mind, please testify about your client in more detail.
You legal people and your procedures. Is it any wonder no one likes to go to court? As I have already stated quite a few times, Adrian Andrews is my client. However, one thing I simply cannot overlook is the tampering with the scene of a crime. My client did it to frame another for the crime, while pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene. Adrian Andrews already knew from the very beginning that Juan Carita was dead. Even more appalling is the creation and planting of the knife and button. That act is what I was referring to when I said my client had broken the rules.
This is a most unexpected turn of events. For the, 5th time now? However, this time everything has finally been revealed.
Objection!
Just a second, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? We still have the cross-examination to do. But you don't need to question testimony like this, do you, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor, the defense will question the witness. As if I have a choice.
Huh? Why? What this witness has said is nothing but beneficial to the defense's case.
How? So has anyone noticed, somebody mentioned this in the comments, but it's really just hitting me. Adrian has no legal representative in this court. So if Phoenix wasn't ethical, can we apparently get her declared guilty without a trial of her own? Because as shitty as it is to be the person put under investigation, at least you have legal representation. I mean, I was just assuming that the people we were finding, quote-unquote guilty is the real killer. I was assuming that they then went on to have a trial and a lawyer of their own. But it seems like maybe that's not actually done.
That's terrifying. This dystopia is a nightmare.
If you scrutinize the testimony, then I'll expose the lies in that oh-so-beneficial testimony, I suppose. I don't understand what's going on anymore. That makes the two of us...
What is it, Mr. Wright? If I press him the wrong way, it might raise suspicions on his end. I have to do something to waste more time. Witness, about requesting a hit.
Yes?
How much is your fee?
I see you are also quite a dark-hearted man, Mr. Attorney.
Huh?
If you would like to talk business, we can do so after the trial.
No! I'm not thinking of hiring...
Mr. Wright!
Yes? You want to kill me? You want me dead, don't you? What? Why would you think something like that, Your Honor? Guilty! Mr. Phoenix, Wright, you are hereby declared guilty!
Witness, let's continue. Why did you disclose the name of your client? They are your client, are they not?
I would think that most people wouldn't be able to overlook a person hiring another to kill. If I had a problem with such a thing, I wouldn't be very effective at my job.
Yeah. Well, a change in occupation might be good for you.
However, I will say this. Even though I am the one who does the deed, My clients are always the real guilty party.
That goes without saying, Mr. DeKiller.
And their fate is to live with the knowledge of their guilt on their shoulders. However, my client this time thought that they could run away from their guilt.
Are you talking about the button and the knife?
Yes, and my business card.
Oh, this card?
So that no one has to waste their time, including the police. I always make it a point to make things as easy as possible.
You try to make things easy?
My business card makes it very easy to identify who carried out the service.
And she took it away. He's pretty devoted to his work.
But to disregard everything, to go and stab the deceased with a knife, and hide my card from sight, that is something I cannot overlook.
It's really hard to tell if he's being truthful or not without him being here.
I don't...
While pretending to be the first person to... You're saying most clients wouldn't do such a thing?
That is correct. Usually, most people try to create an alibi for themselves. If you should use my services, Mr. Attorney, I would suggest you plan for your alibi too.
No, I already told you. I have no intention of using your services ever. Why does he keep looking at me like I'm the one on trial here?
I think that's the guilty statement. Because if she knew, why did she pour the wine and, I'm sorry, the tomato juice and leave her fingerprints? So I'm not going to press that one yet.
Why do you think your client did that?
What do you mean, why?
Well, fiddling around at the scene of a crime is pretty risky. Why would someone who has requested a murder go to the crime scene anyway?
That is true.
I assume it was probably done to frame Mr. Ongard.
If that's the case, why didn't the person just request you do it?
Sadly, that is not possible. My job is to kill, that is all, and to leave my business card behind naturally. The business card is so my clients may escape blame. To protect them is my duty. Even if they say it's for revenge, setting someone else up to take your fall.
That act is what I was referring to. That's all you have to testify?
Yes, and I pray that I will never be called to the stand again.
Again? As in you plan to continue?
I must, as I have yet to find a person to take my place and become the fourth successor. Actually, how would you like a new life, Mr. Attorney?
Excuse me.
No! I'm fine, really!
Are you really now?
I wonder what kind of man the judge thinks I am. What are you going to do, Phoenix? All I can do is expose the lies.
That's true. However, you realize that will be very bad for our client, right?
I'm so confused.
Okay, it's this one.
From the very beginning.
That is correct. From before my client visited the room. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times.
I wonder if that's true.
That's odd.
Oh, I guess I could have pressed it. I'm gonna save again because I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Okay, I'm gonna...
Thank you so much for taking the time to testify, Mr. DeKiller. What is the meaning of that attitude?
When Adrian Andrews entered the victim's room, your client had no idea that Juan Carita had been murdered.
But how do you know that?
From this wine glass, Your Honor.
The glass?
Mr. DeKiller's supposed client thought Mr. Carita had only fainted, which is why this glass of tomato juice was poured for the victim.
But isn't that just part of Adrian Andrews' calculated plan?
That is not possible, Your Honor.
This glass bears the fingerprints of that person. Had this been planned, they would never have left their fingerprints behind.
I see your point. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion? Strangely enough, I had the exact same thought just now.
He smiled.
Witness, how do you explain this strange phenomenon?
Isn't it a waste of time to ask about such a minor detail? It's not a very important point anyway, correct?
You haven't met my boyfriend, Witness. I'm afraid you are mistaken. If Adrian Andrews really is your client, as you claimed, then your client should have had knowledge of Mr. Creda's death. If not, then that can only mean that Adrian Andrews was never your client at all.
How strange.
Yes?
Why is it that the attorney has yet to raise an objection at this absurd situation? Phoenix, if the killer figures out what we're up to, we're in real trouble. Yeah, I know.
Objection!
Mr. Edgeworth, I'm surprised.
You know you can't say things like that without any evidence.
No, sorry.
It wasn't even sarcastic. It was just...
Sorry.
Whoa!
That was an awfully weak objection for the two of you.
We're going through some stuff right now.
Anyway.
He changed the subject with anyway, which is something he previously criticized Phoenix for.
I am positive there was a contradiction in that testimony. The prosecution requests further testimony concerning when the request was taken.
Very well.
Right now, I have to buy us more time. While we wait for the items the killer left behind to get here, I know the very outcome of this trial lies with those items.
This request came to me, about a week ago. It was a request for my services on the night of the awards ceremony. We met at a certain bar to discuss and finalize a few matters. That is what occurred. I trust my memory, and I believe I have made no mistakes.
A week ago? You physically met your client, huh?
That is correct. Meeting one's client is the first step to building trust, in my opinion.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
1 week ago. Are you sure? Yes, I am quite sure. I, of course, had my own preparations, and I was barely able to finish. When you request my services, Mr. Attorney, I hope you will keep that in mind.
Please stop.
In any case, my client this time had a very specific date and time in mind.
Did you ask why on that specific night?
No. I tried to fulfill all the conditions of my client's request. But as for the why, I only had my suspicions.
Your suspicions, huh?
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm so worried about Maya.
What are these suspicions you had? Why did your client request that night?
I'm sure it was all for the bear.
The bear?
My client spoke of it. I'm sure there will be a bear-shaped figurine in Juan Carita's room. I would like you to retrieve that item for me.
You must be talking about the bear puzzle.
Inside that figurine was a suicide note. The victim brought it with him to his hotel room. He was planning to publicly disclose its contents at the press conference after all.
That is correct. If I had not done the job that night, I would not have known where the bear figurine was.
I see.
Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance?
I think so. The testimony just now has made one thing clear, and that is... the client knew the secret of the bear figurine. Huh? Why is everyone so quiet?
Mr. Wright, I think all of us already knew that.
Really?
Witness, please continue with your testimony.
I still don't know that...
Well, I guess we just don't know whether Matt did or not. He might have, he might not have.
You physically met Adrian Andrews, right?
Of course I did.
What was that? What was with the brief pause? Witness, I would like for you to give us a few more details.
I always meet my clients as a matter of principle. I have never taken requests by telephone or mail.
Why is that?
That's because I value the trust between a client and myself above all else. The only way to establish that is to speak to the client while looking them in the eye.
Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony of any importance?
Why he meets his clients is not important, and that wasn't the point. Witness, please stop sidestepping my questions.
What do you mean by that?
My question was, did you really meet Adrian Andrews in person?
I have already told you, Mr. Wright, I did. It was only through talking with him face to face that I began to trust him.
What?
That's when I thought, I can trust this person as a client.
It's true what they say about talking face to face. Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance?
If I heard what I think I heard just now, then I think I've got him.
Your Honor, I believe the testimony just now was of utmost importance. Really? If that's the case, witness, please include the statement just now in your testimony.
Very well.
Edward didn't hear it. Is it just a slip-up? He's been so careful. Does he mean Matt? As we now know, that was not how it turned out, correct?
What do you mean?
Adrian Andrews turned out to be a client who couldn't stick to the rules, right?
Well, yes. I suppose you are correct.
Well, I would like to check one last time. Are you sure your testimony is accurate? Okay, so... he means Matt. But...
are his scars ever going to be explained, or is it just evil scars again? I don't like that. It bothers me a lot. Again, I have lots and lots of scars.
You mean Matt? Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence.
It does?
What the fuck? No, I'm gonna load. I don't know if I need that later. Why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? He meant Matt. He meant Matt. Who else does he mean when he says him? He doesn't mean Adrian? Unless Adrian is secretly a trans man and confessed it only to Shelley, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. But why? Why? He's been so careful. Why would he slip up and talk about Matt instead of Adrian?
he's imagining the scenario. He slips up and thinks about Matt. He slips up and thinks about Matt, but Matt's profile doesn't work. Nothing here that... Alright. He's trying to implicate Adrian Andrews. How does he know that Adrian Andrews is the best patsy here? The best fall guy? Stop making that noise. I'm trying to record a game. Okay. It's still doing it. Stop it. Can't hear myself think. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Okay. He's protecting Matt. He's protecting Matt. So he has to make up a story about Adrian. How does he know about Adrian? Maya couldn't have told him. Has he been following the case? I mean, the case has been public news, but I don't know if it gets in the papers and stuff. And he's been on the run with Maya for a couple of days now, so, or at least one day, so maybe he hasn't had a chance to read the papers. Somehow you knew to sacrifice Adrian Andrews as the most likely fall guy for Matt. And you have had a perfect testimony up until now when you called Adrian him. I thought you were thinking of Matt, but throwing Matt onto your testimony did not work. Is there some other reason? Him. The clue is him. The clue is him. Back up. Lay down everything you're thinking. Set it all down. And just look at the clue. The clue is that he said him. He's thinking about Matt. No, set that down. Set that down. Somebody wrote this game as a video game to be solved. And the clue is him. Clue is him. Found inside the figure, puzzle on guard's misdeeds. Wooden puzzle, only Krita and Andrews. Found at the on-guard mansion, with love Celeste. A recipe for 3800. A recipe receipt. The clue is him. Clue is him.
Oh my god, is it really that simple? Does he not know that Adrian Andrews is a woman? Does he think that Adrian and Andrews, does he think that it's a guy's name? He never met Adrian Andrews. Somehow he missed. Well, he's only known that for a week. And apparently he does no research on his clients, which is kind of wild. Seems like it'd be easy to catch an assassin who does no research on his clients and meets them in person. So he did no research on his clients, no research on anything on the case. He must not have been following the press because Adrian testified. You can't tell me. And somehow have we not used a she, her pronoun this entire time? That seems wild. But I have noticed that Phoenix just keeps saying Adrian Andrews, Adrian Andrews, Adrian Andrews. Does he not know that Adrian Andrews is female? I can always reload. Objection! I would like to go over this one more time. You met Adrian Andrews at the bar and took a request at that time. Yes, that is correct. And that's when you thought he was trustworthy. How many times must I repeat myself? Yes, that is correct. I'm sorry, but that is an impossible tale. What? Shelley to kill her. You have never met the real Adrian Andrews. Why would you say that? Because you made one very big slip-up about her. So what is the issue? What did you say just now? About her? If you had ever met Adrian Andrews in person, one look would have told you she is a woman. Just as a note, you can't tell someone's gender just by looking at them.
Oh, the radio booms. Order! Mr. Wright, what is the meaning of this?
This witness testified to the following. That he always meets face-to-face with his clients when taking their request.
But he has never met Adrian Andrews in person.
Yes, Your Honor. That is exactly the point. Listen to my boyfriend.
That means Mr. DeKiller's client could not have been Ms. Adrian Andrews.
It is sweating oil and it looks horrible.
Mr. Edgeworth, I understand your logic on this one.
It was my point.
However, why would the assassin make such a basic mistake? I believe it has to do with her name, Your Honor.
Her name?
Yes. Adrian Andrews is, without a doubt, a very androgynous name.
Yes, I see.
Unluckily for Mr. DeKiller, the entire time he was on the stand, no one stated Adrian Andrews' gender. And so, he simply picked the wrong gender to go with.
What? What is going on?
Shelley DeKiller, this court demands an explanation!
I think somehow I must have mixed up this client with another.
So does that mean you remember something different now?
Yes, of course. Please, if you would allow me to testify once more. I know he's just going to spit out more lies.
Very well, but this time please give us the truth and nothing but the truth. Assassins these days, you can't trust them.
Yes, now I remember. I took that request by mail. There have been times when I took a job without having met my client. The request was for the murder of Juan Carita and 2 or 3 other small things. When I saw the name at the end of the letter, I thought my client to be a man.
So you took this job through a letter?
He didn't mention anything about a letter in earlier testimony, which means he is definitely lying. Be careful, Phoenix. If you break the assassin's testimony completely, it's over for us.
I know. I can't make him suspicious, but I think we're okay. Like, we can do this. As long as he's standing there across from me.
No matter how strong of a punch I throw, he'll counter it. I like them working together. Now then, let's begin the cross-examination.
I go the whole game without saving during trial, and now I'm saving every 5 minutes. I'm very nervous.
Didn't you just say you always meet your clients? Yes, I suppose I did say that. However, there are some clients for whom a meeting is simply not possible.
Did you not meet your client this time?
No, I did not. Oh, come on now. Let's stop with this game of cat and mouse. Using your silkiest voice is not going to work on me.
I always thought that was a nervous voice.
Alright then, just cough it up and confess. Mr. Wright, you can't badger a witness with harsh words. You're a lawyer, so behave like one and present evidence instead of yelling. Now then, do you have any proof that Mr. DeKiller met with his client?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof.
Then your line of questioning was a waste of time. Sadly for us, Your Honor, that is the nature of right and wrong.
I will get you for that. Why could you not meet certain clients? Recently, I have been receiving more requests. If I met each and every client, I would lose some nice business opportunities.
Nice business opportunities?
On top of which, the times have changed. It is now the age of information and computers, correct? I have joined the times and now take requests via electronic mail.
Electronic mail? Do you have to mail that in a special insulated envelope?
I'm very sorry. I despise the shortening of words. What I meant by electronic mail is what is commonly referred to as email.
Email? In a contest of mimicry, the judge would beat a parrot, hands down.
You took this job without having met your client, and...
2 or 3 other things? Yes.
What were these other things?
A few other things that have nothing to do with this case.
What should I do? It'd be really bad if I pushed his buttons the wrong way and he got mad.
Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide. Mr. Attorney.
Yes?
Everything I have said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial to your client. Which is why I wonder what is pushing you to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you are planning to betray your own client? I smell the stench of a backstabber. And should you turn out to be one...
Wait! Uh-oh, this is looking really bad. I shouldn't press my luck. Is this worth pursuing? Yes!
Witness, this is a very important matter. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs your client requested were. If it's truly that important, I suppose I don't have much of a choice. The bear figurine.
The bear figurine.
After the assassination of the target, I was to find that figurine. I was told that this job was just as important as the actual killing.
Where was that figurine?
It was inside Mr. Creed's suitcase.
What did you do next?
I handed it over to my client right away.
You gave it to your client. Interesting. This information certainly sounds important to me. Witness, please include what you just stated in your testimony.
As you wish.
One of these was to find the bear figurine and give it to Adrian Andrews. Should I press or... I'll try pressing first. I found this figurine at Mr. Ongard's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, what was it doing there?
I was waiting for her there. That was also part of the plan to frame Mr. Ongard, I'm sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any problems with this piece of testimony?
the only thing I can think. The killer says he gave the figurine to Miss Andrews. But I know in that statement there's a contradiction. If I present something trivial here, he will cut the connection on his end. If you want to make a strong point, Phoenix, you have to present strong evidence. Witness, let's go over this one more time. You gave Miss Andrews the bear figurine, and she told you to take the bear and wait for her at Onguard Mansion. Is that correct? Yes. Where are you going with this? I think maybe you might have remembered a few things incorrectly. This is a battle of wits. I can't let up on him. I don't think it is possible for Miss Andrews to have been the recipient of this bear. I wish Mia would stop possessing pearls because I don't really think she's helping at this point. Okay. Assuming that we really are going for the truth. If Adrian had the bear, and if Adrian is telling the truth, so assuming Adrian is telling the truth and he is lying, then what Adrian said, and we're assuming she's telling the truth, assuming she's telling the truth, she wanted to burn the note. So if that's the contradiction. Take that! Shelley de Killer, if you had really given the bear to Miss Andrews, then this item should not have been inside it. This item? I see where you're going. That's where I'm going.
Where is everyone going? Do I need to pack a suitcase?
Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony. And I was going to burn it for her sake. If even for a single minute, this bear had actually been in Miss Andrews' hands, I'm sure she would have taken the suicide note out and burned it.
Unless she really did want it found because it was a forgery in order to frame Onguard, but we're assuming she's telling the truth.
Order! So that's where you two were going.
So by the very fact that the suicide note was still inside the bear, it tells us your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle.
Which means?
It means, Your Honor, that it is impossible for Adrian Andrews to be the client.
Oh! Order!
Mr. Phoenix, Wright. I'm sure I mentioned this before. How I hate traitors above all else. I think your cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of our agreement. No, that's not. That's enough. If that is your intention, there is only one thing for me to do. Wait, please. Okay, is this where I make the choice? Gentlemen, ladies, please excuse me. I have a matter that I must attend to. No! Please, not that! Please wait! Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end, and I may stay my hand. Otherwise...
What in the... Mr. Wright, are you... Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, Your Honor.
I didn't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there is a need to hear more testimony, or is this enough? Well, we should... Edgeworth, we can't do this. If we keep this up, Maya, she'll... The prosecution... What has come over everyone? Even you are... The prosecution... rests... Edgeworth. Bless you. I would have liked that moment to be Franziska's. I really would have. But if it can't be Franziska, then it's Miles, and I cry anyway. I would cry for either of them. What is going on around here?
The prosecution has no further questions, Your Honor.
What? Well, I never thought it'd see the day. This is a most unusual situation. If the prosecution rests with no further questions, then the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that is the case, then even though I am reluctant, I must believe that Mr. DeKiller's testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelley DeKeller's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, here's where it is. Here's where it is. I bet this is it. I think this is it.
If I end the trial right now, your client, Matt Ongard, would be declared innocent. In his place, Adrian Andrews would be charged with murder. Is Andrews charged with murder? The prosecution has no further questions, so we will now hear the defense's final remarks. Bailiff, please bring the defendant, Matt Ongard, to the stand. The items from DeKiller's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time has run out. The outcome lies in your hands. Dude, did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't think of you as a truly innocent and good person. You have done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. But, at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you are innocent. Huh. Really? You're gonna bring out the evil persona on the stand? Okay. So I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figured me out. Mr. Ongar? What an atrocious lawyer I have. Giving his own client up like this. And not refreshing like a spring breeze crop? It's just as atrocious, don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer? Should I side with justice, or should I save my life?
You'd better get Ongard a guilty sentence, okay? I don't like this.
But if I do that, mine will die. If I say he's innocent, Miss Andrews will be charged as the murderer.
Will it hold up in court when he's right there going, it's technically me, but continue? I mean, come on.
Do I say he's guilty or not guilty? Either choice I make, someone's life is going to end. It all hinges on what I choose. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear the defense's final statements on the matter. If the person who hired the assassin was Adrian Andrews, then your client, Mr. Matt Ongard, is innocent. There's no need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer's going to say what I want, aren't you? Right. I can't do this, but I have to decide something. I can't count on evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. My client, Matt Ongard, is...
Ha! I knew it wouldn't let me save the actual choice. Okay. So I promised that we would look at the bad ending first. But we are also well at the hour mark. I kind of want to cut here and do them both in the next video because I'm guessing they're going to be pretty long. If you can forgive me, I'm so sorry. If you can forgive me and let me cut here, I'm going to, because this one's really long, and honestly, I'm getting pretty tired. It's kind of late here, and I'm afraid that my commentary might not be so good because some of my more tired videos just aren't. I know that. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and we'll do both the endings in the next one, and that way we'll have the endings in kind of their own separate video. And honestly, considering how long some of the endings in this game has been, it's probably going to be another hour of its own. So so forgive me for leaving you on a cliffhanger. I'm so sorry. But we will come back in the next video and I will see you then. Thank you so much, and thank you. Forgive me. I just gotta go get some sleep. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.